Janaranja Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nidai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nidai Gaur Premanande Shri Harinam Sankirtanam ki Granthiraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Srila Prabhupada ki Shri Vaman Dwadashi Mahamahosava ki Nitai Gaura Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8th, Chapter 22, chapter entitled Bali Maharaj Surrenders His Life. And this is verse number 28. So you can hear and try to repeat. Geshadanava daityanam agranih kirti vardhanah अजयशीदजयां मायां सीदन्नपि न मुह्यति गेषदानवदैत्यानाम् अग्रणिः कीर्तिवर्धनः अजयशीदजयां मायां सीदन्नपि न मुह्यति गेषदानवदैत्यानाम् अग्रणिः कीर्तिवर्धनः अजयशीदजयां मायां सीदन्नपि न मुह्यति। Any Matajis would like to listen? Okay. Word to word meaning. Eshaha, this Bali Maharaj, Danava Daityanam, among the demons and unbelievers. Agranihi, the foremost devotee. Kirti Vardhanaha, the most famous. Ajayashit, has already surpassed. Ajayam, the insurmountable. Mayam, material energy. Sidan, being bereft of all material opulences. Api, although. Na, not. Muhyati, is bewildered. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charna Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki translation. Bali Maharaj has become the most famous among the demons and non-believers, for in spite of being bereft of all material opulences, he is fixed in his devotional service. Purport. In this verse, the words Sidan api namhuhyati are very important. A devotee is sometimes put into adversity while executing devotional service. In adversity, everyone laments and becomes aggrieved. But by the grace of Supreme Personality of Godhead, a devotee, even in the worst condition, can understand that he is going through a severe examination by the Personality of Godhead. Bari Maharaj passed all such examinations as explained in the following verses. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padahan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Namaom Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you in today's Srimad Bhagavatam class on the occasion of Shri Vaman Dwadashi. Today is a very auspicious day. Appearance of Lord Vamanadev, Vaman Dwadashi. And also there is appearance day of Srila Jiva Goswami, one of our foremost acharyas, legendary acharya of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So in the limited time that we have, so I decided to speak on Vaman Dev's glories. So I seek blessings of especially Srila Jiva Goswami on his day of appearance. It is said, Hastamalak vattatvam Srimad Bhagavatasya cha yah darshayamas jivebhyas tam Shri Jivam Prabhum Numaha. It is said, Srila Jiva Goswami, he showed the principal Siddhanta of Bhagavatam to all the Jivas. Jiva Goswami showed to all the Jivas like Hastamalak. Hastamalak Nyaya. This is one of the Nyayas. This is the logic of Amalaki fruit. If you keep Amalaki fruit, Avla, on your palm, one of the palms, even left palm, you can rotate it fully and see what it is, right? It's not like you have to touch another hand also. You can just do like this. You can see clearly. If it was a big fruit, you have to hold by two hands. So Bhagavatam Siddhanta, one who made that Siddhanta so easy to understand, like Hastamalak, he gave by his commentary and especially by Sandarbhas, the way he has explained Bhagavatam's Tattva, Siddhanta, very subtle points, Jiva Goswami. So he made it so simple, like one can see, understand, by Hastamalak Nyaya. So actually it's our great fortune that we belong to his sampradaya, and by that are able to understand something from Srimad Bhagavatam by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who is the worthy recipient in that sampradaya. So I also seek blessings of all the devotees here assembled, all the senior devotees especially, and all of you, so that I can speak something in the glorification of Vamana Dev. Prabhupada in purport has written an amazing line. He says that, in adversity everyone laments and becomes aggrieved, but by the grace of Supreme Personality of Godhead, a devotee, even in the worst condition, can understand that he is going through a severe examination by the Personality of Godhead. Nobody likes examinations, at least most of them, right? People like to study here, but examination, I mean, some of us are really brilliant academicians, and they may like also. But in general, we are planning to launch Bhakti Vaibhav also in Hindi and in Marathi. So many requests were that we are ready to hear the classes, Prabhuji, but no exam. Like that, right? So examination is often considered to be like, people don't like that particular part of the learning. But in any educational institution, examination is also an integral part. Of course, what kind of exam, that's a different topic of discussion. Exams, surely, I mean, the exams also have to be properly designed. That is a different topic. But the philosophy, the principle, paradigm of examination, evaluation is actually perfectly justified. It has to be there, so that the right kind of candidates go through the process and go through the course. Otherwise, if you don't have right candidates for a certain course and further courses, then it's a trouble for him and others also, right? Sometimes, even in those days of engineering that we did, there would be some candidates who are rendering a course of 4 years, sometimes 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. Ahaituki, apratihata. They are rendering uninterrupted, unmotivated devotional service. No, not devotional. So all others sometimes are getting help by them, and they are passing out and going ahead. These people are there, like that. Finally, university only gives them a special degree and sends them off. NFT, not fit for technical education. Like that. You have to send them away, saying no. So the point is, unqualified candidates cause bewilderment to their own life and also to the system itself, like that. So even in Krishna consciousness, Lord takes exams, just as Prabhupada is saying here. Examination, evaluation, that's also an aspect of Krishna consciousness. Krishna has the system of evaluating the right candidates, by which the right candidates, they move on to go to the spiritual world. Otherwise, unqualified candidates entering into spiritual world, it is going to be a headache for Krishna. So especially Srimad Bhagavatam is full of examples where these kinds of examinations are talked about. The kind of various tests that a devotee undergoes are talked about with various understandings, various paradigms, various levels of tests that the Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about. Prahlad Maharaj, he is being tortured, and an attempt is there to kill him, assassinate him by his own father. See, some enemy attacks, some rival attacks, it is understandable. But loving father, who is supposed to be, loving person, father, he himself is trying to attack and kill Prahlad. So he's in that situation, a mere child. Dhruva Maharaj, for apparently a very small reason, he is insulted so severely by his mother. Parikshit Maharaj, for such a small mistake, right? Putting a dead snake. He didn't put a an alive snake, a dead snake, but for that curse to die within 7 days. So Bhagavatam shows extreme examples actually, so as to show us that the difficulty that we have in our life is actually much lesser. See, everyone in this world feels that only I am suffering, or at least they feel that only I am suffering so much, others don't suffer like me. So it is very interesting that the feeling that I am suffering is there in everyone. I am singled out for suffering, but that feeling is universal. Everybody feels that I am singled out, but that's the feeling of practically everyone in this world, right? So in English, they say that distress is democratic. They say distress is for everyone like that. And in fact, the devil you know is actually better than devil you don't know. It is said in English, there is a phrase. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. Means actually, if you only knew other people suffering, then you will understand, actually mine is nothing. I am okay, I am okay with my life. So the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. So Lord shows the extreme examples in Bhagavatam so as to tell us, give us the hope that actually, yes, this is how a devotee leads his life and this is how I should be progressing in my life. So Bali Maharaj's story is also unique in that sense. One of the acharyas has commented saying that, see, distress coming from enemy, coming from some rival, coming from a person who is envious is okay. What if distress comes directly from the Lord? Straight away, Lord is only giving distress. You turn to Lord so that distress is, finished, distress is destroyed. But He's only giving distress, apparently. We know that Lord is never for giving distress to anyone. But here in this case, when Bali Maharaj is to be appreciated for the great sacrifice that he has done, what is Vaman Dev doing, at least in the beginning, is capturing him, arresting him, and putting him to humiliation in front of everyone, right? So sometimes people who don't hear Bhagavatam regularly or like that, they get bewildered by such pastimes. Sorry, what is this person? You worship him for all your life, and then here is he putting his devotee in so much distress. But as we know that actually Krishna, Lord, never puts anyone in distress. It's just a matter that his purpose may not be evident immediately. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki, Shri Shri Gaunita ki. So his purpose may not be evident immediately. We may not be able to understand why he is doing this in my life immediately. See, sometimes to understand in our life that what is our strength, some kind of material disruption is required. A bird which has grown its wings, it can fly, but is sitting nicely on the branch. So the branch should break so that the bird realizes its potential to fly. So similarly, in our life also, the complacency creeps in as we progress in spiritual life. So Krishna breaks the branch so that we realize, oh, I can fly actually. I was sitting just like that thinking that I can't fly. So Krishna's vision is quite much more distant. His vision is, we can see only up to a certain extent, but Krishna can see to much further extent. In fact, he can see everything. Sarvadashi. So he can see everything. So sometimes you might want to travel with a great speed, but you might be, going so fast that you would fall down a cliff. So Krishna might put a detour, might put an obstacle in between so that you take a detour. And that is actually proper tour, not detour, so that you are saved from the further falling down the cliff. So this is how Lord does. Vedanta Deshikan, in one of his glorifications of Vamana Dev, he calls Vamana as Raksha Vamana. He is the Lord who has done Raksha of Bali. He has not done some Kaitava, he has not done some Vanchana of Bali. He is not Vanchana Vaman, he is Raksha Vaman. He has protected Bali, and he has also protected Indra. His protection for his mixed devotee is different, and for his pure devotee is different. But he is Raksha Vaman. He is doing that protection of his devotee, Vaman Dev. So, on this particular day, Vaman Dev appeared. This is the Tithi. It is said, Shronayam Shravana Dwadashyam Muhurte Abhijiti Prabhu Sarve Nakshatra Taradhyas Chakrum Tajjanma Dakshinam. This is the Vamana Dwadashi, known as Shravana Dwadashi. Abhijit Muhurta, around noon time, when sun was at the meridian, that is when Lord Vamandev appeared. And this particular Dwadashi is famous as Shravana Dwadashi. So, Lord appeared on this particular day. And when he appeared as four-handed Vishnu. But immediately he took the form of Vatu. Vatu or Vamana means somebody who is very short, dwarf. Less than average size and height. So he was a dwarf. Immediately he grew to be a brahmachari, a brahmana. But he was of a Vamana size, Vatu size. Babhuva teneva sa Vamano Vatu sampashyator divya gatir yatha nata. Bhagavatam says, just as a theatrical actor. So although he appeared to Aditi as Supreme Lord Vishnu, appeared in four-handed form, but he immediately took the form of the Vatu, Brahmachari, Bal Brahmachari, Vamana. So then all the demigods came and they served the Supreme Lord Vamana in his pastime, very short Bala pastime, in which he was offered sacred thread by Brahaspati and Gayatri mantra by Savita, by Suryadev himself, and then also Mekhala, straw belt, Kardhani by Kashyapa. Also Bhumi offered him Krishna Jinam, one black deer skin. Kubera offered him the begging bowl. So, because everything was lost from Kubera, right? Everything was gone. So, the begging bowl doesn't suit in my hand. You take and do something, get it back for us. So, very significant. Kubera offered the begging bowl to him. Mother Parvati, Bhagavati Uma, she offered the first alms to him. So, in this way, after serving the Supreme Lord in this manner, then Lord departed for the purpose for which he had appeared. He had heard that Bali's sacrifice has begun in heavenly planets on the banks of Narmada, Narmada's north banks, in a place called Bhrugukacha. So immediately Vaman, after receiving this service from demigods, he departed so as to meet Bali and have this further pastime. So this was a place called Bhrugukacha. So when he appeared in that sacrificial assembly of Bhrugukacha, it is said in Bhagavatam that it was like a sun, In fact, many suns appearing simultaneously. Such was his effulgence. He was a brahmachari with such effulgence that it was like sun rising. Very effulgent, extremely. Later, in fact, Bali says also, you are like sakshat tapa. You are personified, austerity, personified, enlightenment. So, in this way, he traveled to that particular place. In fact, when he appeared, the priest over there, they started arguing, is this sun god himself that has come? Or is he Agnidev? Or is he Sanat Kumar? Who is he? They were arguing amongst themselves. Such a great effulgent personality, so beautiful. He was holding his danda, brahmachari danda, and then there was kamandalu, and also one chhatra, one umbrella was there in his hand. So like this, his beautiful form appeared over there. Everyone rose from their seat, seeing this, right? This such great effulgence of this personality, Vamanadev. So it is said in Bhagavatam, Yajamanaha pramudito darshaniyam manoramam rupanu rupavayavam tasma asanam aharat. When Bali saw this beautiful sight of Vaman, his beautiful form, immediately Bali rose from his seat naturally, and he came forward to offer the seat of honor to Vaman, because he was so effulgent and he naturally commanded so much of respect from everybody who was present there. I was sharing this particular insight from last year's Vaman, no, not last year, few years back also, on Vaman Dwadashi lecture, that Vedanta Deshikan in his Dehalisha Stuti, he glorifies Vamana. Dehali means the limit, the threshold. Dehalish, one who is the master of all limits. Whatever you think as limit, one step, he is just crossing all those limits. He's written a beautiful stotra called Dehalisha Stuti. So in that he says, when Vamandev appeared at Bhrugukacha, and now he is going to give darshan to Bali, he thought that, see, on my right part of my chest, my consort Lakshmi Devi resides. So he was wearing Krishna jinam like this. The deer skin is also worn in the same fashion as you have upavit, right? So, draping, flowing from your left shoulder and down to the right shoulder. So he was wearing Krishna jinam like this. So naturally the right part of the bosom was exposed, where Lakshmi Devi resides, Shrivatsa. So he thought, if I go in front of Bali, and if Lakshmi puts the glance on Bali, how can I take away anything from him? Lakshmi has put her glance, finished. All prosperity is guaranteed for him. So I should do adjustment. Instead of putting the usual way of Krishna jinam, I should put it this way, so that the right part of the bosom is covered like that. So he lifted his deer skin and he put it in this fashion, like that. So you will see in some of the paintings, Vamandev's deer skin is like this. So when he put it in this fashion, because he put the deer skin in that way, Lakshmi became extremely curious to know what is happening here. Why so much of arrangement of changing the deer skin is being made and all. So she took her beautiful face out of that deer skin and still glanced. And she glanced on whom? On Bali. Vedanta Deshikan says, that was it. There is no question of Bali's any opulence being taken away, because the mother has glanced on him. If the loving mother glances on some devotee, sometimes father may be little heavy in punishment. He wants to punish. Isko sikaunga. Like the mother will say, it's okay. He will reform. Like that. So he says, so when Mother Lakshmi glanced on Bali, sitting there on the sign of Shrivatsa, immediately it was confirmed that Bali is going to now get all prosperity, all mercy of Supreme Lord. So in this way, when Bali Maharaj received the darshan of Vamanadev, he rose from his seat, offered him the seat of honor to sit on, and washed his feet. He placed water on his head, Charnamrit of Vamandev on his head. Prabhupada says there in the purport that he was following a Mahajan. Just as Lord Shiva takes the Charanamrit of Supreme Lord. Of course, it is going to happen further in the future. But Charanamrit of Supreme Lord, Lord Shiva or Brahma, they are very eager to take always. So, Bali Maharaj here, although in the pastime sense, he is not yet recognized that this is Lord Vamana, Lord Vishnu himself. He recognizes it at a later point of time. So, but then he, by taking that Charnamrit on his head, he was actually following the Mahajanas. So his destination would also be like Mahajanas. He would be considered a Mahajana, right? Bali Maharaj is himself a Mahajana. Prabhupada was at one time, Prabhupada was talking about 12 Mahajanas, and one devotee enthusiastically, he said, Prabhupada, you are 13th Mahajan. Prabhupada said, you are 14th Mahajan. Because a Mahajan follows the Mahajan, another Mahajan. That's the characteristic of Mahajan. Prabhupada said, a Mahajan means he follows another Mahajan. That's how you become a follower of Mahajan. So Bali Maharaj very much appreciated his fortune that some personality like that has come to his place. And he said to Vaman that actually my life is perfect receiving you here, some personality like you. So please ask, you are a Brahmana, I can see that. You are a brahmachari, you are a Brahman. And please ask in charity whatever you wish. Whatever your wish is, I would like to grant. He said, Gam kanchanam gunavadhama mrishtam tathanna peyam utava viprakanyam graman samruddhan turagan raja gajanva rathan tatharhattama sampraticha. Oh Brahmana, what do you want? Please take the charity. You have come to me and I want to offer you something. Gam, I can offer you the cows or I can offer you the land. Kanchanam, I can offer you gold. Gunavadham, Prabhupada says furnished house. Prabhupada says Gunavadham, house, some place of residence, furnished also. Furniture is also big cost. Furnished residence, Prabhupada translates Gunavadham. Or I can see that you are just like a child. You are a Bala Brahmachari. So, Mrishtam Tathanna Peyam. You want some very good food? You want some very good, edible items or, something to drink, some beverages? Ask here, everything is available at the sacrificial assembly. Utava Viprakanyam. Or is it that you want to marry and then you want a beautiful, Viprakanya, Brahmani? So I can arrange for that also, if you wish to marry somebody, a very kulochit stri. Graman samruddhan turagan gajanva. Or I can offer you very prosperous villages, not some land where nothing grows. No, samruddhan graman, he is saying. Very prosperous villages. Turagan gajanva. Or I can offer you best of horses, best of elephants, right? So he wants to offer him the best of, everything, right? When it comes to the service of Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, devotees, we should offer the best. Sometimes otherwise people want to offer something, but that taking is a big trouble, right? Here it is said Turagan Gajan. These are the animals which are used for commutation. So sometimes people want to offer vehicles to the temple. That vehicle, even the thief will not steal. It's like that. It is such dilapidated condition like that. They say there are anyway a lot of brahmacharis, even if it is dhakkal start, they can do pushing, they can push and start it. So some kind of vehicles come. I am not saying everyone, but sometimes it's like that. People's mentality could be, if something becomes useless, then give in Lord's service, right? I know one of my friends used to say, the notes, just a second. The rupee notes, which are so torn, which are so gone case, if you touch it, it will get torn. Like that, he'll say, Rakho kaam mein aayega, hundi mein dalenge. Bhagwan ki hundi mein dalenge. Right? So sometimes we want to offer to the Lord such things which are like useless things completely. So here it is said, he wants to offer the best of things, like that, which are desired by the people in this world, right? So, by what you offer actually, the quality of your offering shows also the quality of person. It shows his quality when what he is going to offer, like that. So that's why it's very important that when we offer to the Lord, we offer the best things. Not that something which is gone completely torn, useless, become, and there is no other use like that. Sometimes people have this mentality also for offering the, somebody who is not a very intelligent boy, one who is very useless or retarded. Such person, they say, isko Bhagwan ki seva mein laga do. Like that. But very brilliant, very intelligent, then what he should do? He should go to the West, earn money, and do a lot of economical development like that. Hey, this fellow is useless. Isko leke jao. Kuch kaam kar. Like that. Even that is rare in Kali Yuga. But I'm saying that is the point. Most of the time people want to offer such things like that. So it becomes difficult to then maintain such offerings, right? One time in Guruvayur temple, so many elephants were coming in charity that they said, we don't want further elephants, because it takes some wealth and energy to maintain an elephant also, right? So sometimes some offerings are like those elephants, very difficult to maintain, right? So anyway, my point is only this, that yes, we offer the best thing to the Lord. Just as here, Bali Maharaj is offering the best to Vamanadev, like that. But then Vamanadev, although these best of the things were offered, he didn't want to take any of it, showing that actually the goal of life is not to amass, these great resources for material enjoyment. Although best of these things are being given to him, he is rejecting all this and saying, just give me 3 steps of land. Of course, those are his 3 steps. And that's a special flavor that he brings in. But the point is, Vishwanath Chakravarti does say, Svalpayancham, he says. Actually, Vamandev is teaching the renounced class that Svalpayancha, we actually don't need much. We just need, for Lord's service, we need all the resources of this world. But he's talking especially about oneself, like that. So that is how, Vamandev, he was very much pleased by the words of Bali. And then Vamandev glorified Bali Maharaj. In Bhagavatam, 16 verses, he glorifies Bali Maharaj. He says, Vachastavaitad janadeva sunritam kulochitam dharmayutam yashaskaram yasya pramanam bhragavah samparaye pitamaha kula vruddha prashantaha. Your words, Bali Maharaj, the words of appreciation for Vamana, also his charitable nature. To Bali, Vamandev says that your words are kulochit. They show your great kula. Actually, Bali is born in demon kula. But he is showing that kulochitam, meaning actually somebody may be born in also a demonic family, apparently, like Bali. But he's of a class. He's of a certain class. He's not like some personality of Kali Yuga. Kulochitam, dharma yutam. Your words are full of religious principles, yashaskaram. And they are actually very words which are actually further propagating the glory of your dynasty. And he says, very interesting, that the reason of your being like this is because you have Prahlad Maharaj for, success in the future life, and you have the descendants of Bhrigu for success in this life. For Iha, for the things required in this world, you have descendants of Bhrigu who are guiding, Shukracharya and all the Brahmanas. And for your spiritual quest, spiritual journey, who is guiding you? Prahlad is guiding. So this is actually a very perfect recipe to be happy in this world. You have the perfect candidates who are guiding in material life and also in spiritual life. Like for Bali here we see that he says that Samparaye Pitamaha Kulavruddha Prashant. For Samparaya, for spiritual life, Prahlad is guiding you. And for the material life, Bhragava, these descendants of Bhrigu are guiding you. The Brahmanas are guiding you in this way. So such good counsel is required actually if we want to progress in material life. Material life in the sense, in wholesome development of our life. Whatever is needed in the material life and also whatever is most desirable in the spiritual life, like that. Prabhupada raises there a question that Prahlad, you see Prahlada's son is Virochan and Virochan's son is Bali. What is Prahlad doing there? If he is Mahajan, he is still there with the kingdom and he is still there in all this household life. So Prabhupada says that's why the word used there is Prashantaha. Personality like Prahlad, actually, he is unaffected by the situation he is in. He is completely freed from all the material desires. So although he is in that situation, of course, Vaman Puran does say that Prahlad Maharaj had retired actually, renounced from his kingdom and everything, and he was only on the advisory board. Vaman Puran gives that additional. So he was available to Bali only for the advice. It was not that he was actually sitting there with him always and guiding him in day-to-day business and all. No, he was only there for some advisory thing. Before that only Prahlad had renounced his kingdom. And in fact, after Prahlad renounced, only the situation of the fight between demigods and demons arose. When Prahlad was there was no fight, Vaman Puran says. Only after Prahlad departed, renouncing his kingdom, then the situation again became like this, where the conflict arose like that. But in any case, Prabhupada also focuses on that aspect of he being prashantaha. Prahlad was so exalted that even in that situation where he is involved in these items, Prahlad is completely unaffected like that. So if somebody is qualified for that level of renunciation, and if he is rendering service, then he may be justified to be in that kind of position, right? It takes some caliber to also accept the worship and accept the resources, right? It's not any person's job. It takes some caliber like that. One time Prabhupada was going from Paris to another place, and it was very hot, noon time. So Prabhupada, just nearby highway, just beside highway, Prabhupada stopped, and then they put a chair there for Prabhupada, just beside highway, where you can stop like that, because it was very hot. So they put the chair for Prabhupada, and they held a very big umbrella, beautiful umbrella, like that. And Prabhupada said, get some cold water, like that. So then they brought some cold water, and Prabhupada was sipping it, peacefully. On one side, there was one devotee doing chamar to him, and on another side, there was one devotee showing peacock feather to him, offering peacock feather to him, like that. So chamar, Esha, chamara seva, and also Esha, Vyajana seva, both were going. And this is all happening right beside the highway. So people who were going in the cars, they were looking at this, what is going on? This man, he's sitting and these two people are serving him. One man is holding chatra like that. So one of the persons traveling by, he really got reckless. I wish to ask, who is this person? So he got down and he asked Prabhupada, so what you are doing? What is this? Standing in front like that. And Prabhupada, so cool, very regal manner. He said, it is very hot. Like that. So just cooling down. And then he was like jaw dropped. He was like cooling down. Wow. And with all these three devotees, serving him and all like that. So he sat in his car and, moved on like that. So actually Prabhupada can take such worship, right? He can take such, honor and all, because he can hold it. He can digest it. Sometimes it is very easy to aspire for the honor, or as easy to aspire for, worship and like that. But will one be able to handle it also? By a little bit of some worship or honor, we see that we tend to go off track completely. But Prabhupada was transcendent, prashantaha. So here Prahlad is also said to be like that, prashant. In fact, Vaman, he glorified, Bali's words. Not only that, he also glorified Bali's dynasty. He glorified Prahlad. He also glorified Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha also. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says absolute truth is not speaking absolute truth here by glorifying Hiranyakashipu and by glorifying Hiranyaksha, saying that Hiranyaksha was so powerful, so brave, so chivalrous. It was so difficult to defeat him for Varahadev. Finally, with a great difficulty, he defeated him, and then thought that, yes, today I have accomplished something. He's saying like this. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, this mithyatva, this words which are false, or some trickery, or some fear, or some greed, this doesn't look good in jiva, but in Lord it looks very good, he says. So these are the words, which are actually creating a nice rasa there. He is enjoying that joke, he is enjoying that humor, he says that. And he says, the devotees of the Lord, they don't get bewildered, thinking, why is he speaking such things? He says, they meditate on such pastimes. How he's speaking, falsity. Just see how he's enjoying the rasa. So that brings out vatsalya of devotees, he says, rasa and vatsalya. So here is in this way, in a joking mood, he's glorifying, putting the right context, inspiring him to be, charitable by glorifying his dynasty and by glorifying all his prior personalities from his dynasty. But then, whatever he had offered, Vamandev said, Tasmat tvatto mahim ishad vraneham varadarshabhat. From you, O Varadarshabha, O best of the Benedictors, what I ask is, ishad mahim. I ask very little land. How much? Padani trini. I just ask you only 3 steps of land. Like that. Vishwanath Chakravarti says intention was to take away everything. But he spoke 3 steps of land in such a way that Bali felt like, okay, 3 steps of land means basically he is asking for a place so where he can lie down in the Parnakuti, in the hermitage. That much space he is asking. Like that. That is how Bali thought. 3 steps of land. Means basically he is saying, एक छोटी सी hermitage पर कुटी बनाने के लिए इतना जगह दे दो. But he is going to take everything away. Like that. So Bali also actually thought himself to be a great controller of lands. So with a pride he had offered, take what you want, whatever you want, you take it. See, when you go to a person who is capable, who is qualified, you have to also make the right demand, isn't it? Otherwise, you go to the richest person of Pune and then he says, what do you want? थोड़ा जन्माष्टमी के लिए 100 रुपए चंदा देंगे क्या मांग रहा है उसको 100 रुपए चंदा like he will feel insulted. What is this? You should ask something of my caliber. What is this? This is an insult. Like that. So actually when Krishna wants to instigate, he instigates in the best way. So here Bali Maharaj was having that pride of I being the owner of all this, Triloki, planetary systems, land and everything. So Krishna, meaning Vamana, he asked exactly in a way that sort of pinches Bali. He didn't ask him for some enlightenment on some abstruse passages of Upanishads. Can you please enlighten me on Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, this particular article, like that. No, he asked him in such a way that it will pinch him. Because he thought himself to be controller. He thought himself that I can offer so much land. So he asked him, just give me 3 steps of land. That's it. So this was like an insult to his charitable attitude. So much so that Bali felt, he said, Aho Brahmana dayad vachaste vriddha sammata tvam balo balishamatihi swartam prati abhudo yatha. Actually, I can see, your words are nice, that I should get the 3 steps of land, vriddha sammataha. Usually I have seen renowned sages ask in that manner. But actually you are balisha. You are actually like a child. And your intelligence is also childish. Balishamatihi. Swartham prati abudho. Actually you don't understand what is the real self-interest. Swartham prati abudha. आप आपके स्वार्थ के प्रति ज्यादा जानकार नहीं हो. इसलिए मेरे पास आके क्या मांगा? 3 पग भूमि. Like that he is saying. That way. Swartham prati abudho. Vishwanath Chakravarti says, yes, indeed Lord is swartham prati abudho. Lord never thinks of anything for himself. He always thinks about his devotees. So here also when he's asking Bali, he's not thinking about his own. He's thinking about Bali. I will bless Bali today. Swartham prati abudha. Like that. In fact, even in this world, people, when they see us taking to the life of Krishna consciousness, rejecting the great offers of material enjoyment, they also think like how Bali thought, right? Towards us, thinking, kya ye? These people have rejected all the opportunities for enjoyment and they're happy with 3 steps of renunciation. Whether it is grahastha or whether it is a brahmachari, a devotee, he says no to the offers of material enjoyment and leads a simple life, right? So people also feel like that. Okay, he's giving up everything and taking up this life of renunciation, just 3 steps of land, rejecting everything like that. Crazy, brainwash, like that, right? What, you be normal, like that, they will say. But after this, that's why it's very nice for sadhakas to read Vaman Dev's instructions on satisfaction. So beautiful instructions he speaks on satisfaction. Of course, we don't have much time. I'll start winding up. But the point is, there Vamandev has spoken so nicely on satisfaction. He says, if I am not satisfied by 3 steps of land, no, I will not be satisfied even if you offer me Jambudvip. Because I will think the other 6 dvipas also I should get. That's the problem. So he says satisfaction, that is actually what nourishes a Brahmana. The whole world is actually propagating so much to accumulate more and more and more and more. You see all advertisement, propaganda, media, billboards, everything, more. Ye lo, wo lo, ye theek nahi, wo theek nahi, ye uthao. Whole world like that. But Vamanadev there speaks about satisfaction actually. They say the rat race, right? Everybody, they want to put you in the rat race. But the greatest problem with the rat race is that even if you win the race, you still remain a rat. It is said, right? So here Vamandev speaks about the satisfaction. And that satisfaction will not just, Prabhupada gives such a nice purport there. Prabhupada says, satisfaction is only possible by sense control. And if there is satisfaction, then only the happiness is possible. So you talk about satisfaction. These days, motivational people, they talk a lot about satisfaction, relationships, and this, that, they talk so much thing, but they will not talk about sense control. So actually it's a torture. On one side you talk about satisfaction, and be happy in the life and all. And on other side, you so much encourage people to be greedy, accumulate so much, achieve everything in life, be very, very greedy. So these 2 paradigms will not go hand in hand. Prabhupada says, without sense control, satisfaction is impossible. And how to achieve that sense control? You engage in the service of the Lord. Like that. So that is the point. On one side, if we don't speak about sense control and we speak about being satisfied and being nourished and keeping our relationships intact and all that, it's not going to work. It may work for some amount of time, but it will not work. Eventually, it's not a solution from the root, like that. So these are utopian ideas to bring in happiness and satisfaction without leading a life which is based on a spiritual life. Very nice, Vamandev says there, Yadricha labhatustasya tejo viprasya vardhate tat prashamyati asantoshad ambhasa iva ashuchukshani. जो अपने लाभ से, whatever he has achieved, by that if somebody is happy, such Brahmana's teja, that increases. His intelligence increases. His sense control increases. But asantushta Brahman, one who is very dissatisfied Brahmana, he loses everything actually. Slowly. Although he thinks by being asantushta, I will accumulate more and more. But he loses in turn. Because Brahmana especially has this quality of satisfaction. It's a big topic. But anyway, I just wanted to say that, yes, these are the very nice instructions. You can read, you can go back. So, after hearing these instructions from Bali, from Vamanadev, Bali was very happy. He smiled, okay, this Vatu is not going to listen, fine. And then, just in order to formalize his giving that particular offer, giving that charity, he took his Jalabhajan, Jalapatra, he took his water pot to do the sankalpa, like that. So when he took that, that is the time when Shukracharya's intervention, like that. Shukracharya had been observing all this, what's going on, like that. And when he saw that, here is Bali, who had verbally promised, now he is also going to actually give the land by doing the sankalpa, like that. So immediately Shukracharya, he intervened and he said, what are you doing? I am here. You asked me, I am your guru, like that. You know who is he? Shukracharya is Vidamvaraha, it is said. Shukracharya is very learned, Trikala. He said, this is Lord Vishnu. You are thinking him to be a Brahmana? This is none other than Lord Vishnu. He has appeared as son of Aditi and Kashyapa. And he has come here to, in the pretext of taking 3 steps of land, everything he will take away from you and give it to Indraya. Dasyati Shakraya. Shakra ko de dega. Aur tum kya karoge? So you are not understanding this like that. In fact, he said, in 2 steps, he will cover the entire lower planetary systems and upper planetary systems, even up to Satyaloka. So nothing will remain for you to give in the 3rd step. So anyway, you will not be able to fulfill promise. So sab jaane wala hai, and you will not be able to fulfill promise also. Because of that, you will become a resident of hell. So if you are anyway going to lose everything and become a resident of hell, why to give? Don't give at all. You don't have to give. And if you say, how can I go back on my words? Are main hu na, Shukra Niti. So Shukracharya spoke his Niti then, which is famous as Shukra Niti. One of the popular 3 Nitis in Mahabharata is Shukra Niti, Vidura Niti. These are very popular, like that. So he said, how will you maintain yourself if you give this? And if once maintenance only is going away, such promise, you don't have to care. Because here is the question of losing everything and maintenance is only going away. Jab tumhara sharir hi nahi rahega, kuch bhi nahi rahega, what can you do? Like that he said. So you don't have to offer this charity. Although you have verbally only offered and you are saying, I have given the word, but you don't have to. Prabhupada says there that this shows he was worried about, Shukracharya was worried about the maintenance. This shows that Shukracharya was a smart Brahman. He had this mentality of a smart Brahman. He is stopping belief from surrendering and giving everything to Lord, thinking about his own maintenance like that. So this is difference between a smart Brahman and Vaishnava. Prabhupada says there, like that. So actually I will end now. When we offer to Krishna, I wanted to say this point, that when we offer to Krishna, just as here, Shukracharya is saying you will lose everything. So actually even in this world, no, when we offer everything to Krishna, we give our time, energy, resources, life, then people, they come and say, you are going to lose everything. Why you are giving? Before also I spoke, that sometimes, when we give our life for Krishna consciousness, people think like, what a loss, what a colossal loss. Right from the IIT, NIT seat, all the way up to all the money that you would have earned and the happiness that your parents would have received and this and that, like that. So even after making those decisions of being a devotee and leading a simple life, when we go on in our life, there would be a struggle, right? Spiritual life is not a bed of roses. Sometimes when we take that decision, we want to offer everything to the Lord, and we have taken that decision, we are trying to lead that life, there is also this force of Maya, force of this world, like Shukracharya, trying to say to us that it's a loss. Now also there is time, come back. Leave this Krishna consciousness, leave this service. Whole world is waiting for, no dearth of opportunities, they'll say, come back, like that. So this is actually, these are Shukracharya's representatives. All these people. There is absolutely, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, there is absolutely no loss in Krishna's service. There is only gain and gain and gain. Even if there is pain in the sacrifice, in the service that we render, we may not be doing it wholeheartedly, but he says, Krishna is noting every single service that you are doing. And when, at the end of your life, with the perfection, you will please Krishna and he will say, thank you for all the sacrifice that you have done. He said, that is actually a devotee's glory. When Krishna, that all that sacrifice is recognized by Krishna, actually. So we will live with that faith. We live with that faith. And it is not blind, right? It is based on Shastra. We have seen so many examples like that. So on one hand, there is Shukracharya, which are the forces of Maya, the agents of Maya, this worldly people, or whatever atheistic relatives, sometimes non-devotee relatives who are trying to push us on one side. And on one side, there is Vamana, the Supreme Lord. And in this tussle, the devotee is there, irrespective of his ashram, whatever. A grihastha also sacrifices so much for Krishna's service, right? And a brahmachari, a sannyasi, he has also given his life for service, like that. So the point is, in any case, the whole world is actually so much trying to pull us, like the Shukracharya. He's trying to take it away, like that. That we neglect, we break, we turn away from our vows. But here is Bali who had shown us that how we remain steadfast on our vows. And for that, what is needed is the strength of association of devotees, regular hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing of such characters and all like that. See, if your life is filled with mundane vibration, and then you feel dull and morose in spiritual life, thinking, "Arey, I am missing so much outside world," like that. You have to be in the right kind of context and with the right kind of inspiration to move on that particular path. Otherwise, so much propaganda of material world is there, right? Where we are sort of enamored to go away from our vows, our commitment, initiation vows or whatever, our service commitment, our ashram commitment, like that. So here is Bali Maharaj teaching us that yes, we accept the hand of Vamana, or at the feet of Vamana, we accept that choice and not the choice that is offered by Shukra, like that. So much Shukraniti he speaks. Based on Shastra, he says, you never said Om before offering that land. So Om nahi bolana chalta hai. Anything that which doesn't have Om is false only. So your promise was never given only, he says. Then he says 5 places where you can speak the lies. Strishu, Narma Vivahe. In joke you can speak lies. Tell him that, joke tha wo. Joke kar raha tha. Narma Vivahe. Sometimes in marriage you have to speak some lies. Prabhupada gives example. One couple was there. And one party came to the groom party and saying that they wanted to give their daughter in charity. Kanyadan. So they came there and he said, what does the son do? What does the groom do? He's a doctor, they said. Achha, doctor? What kind of doctor? Is he like doctor of medicine or doctor of philosophy and all? So Prabhupada says, in one of the last days in Vrindavan, he says he's conductor. Prabhupada says he's conductor. So after they pushed him, conductor. After they pushed him, then the Prabhupada in his accent says conductor. Like that. Then they is showing falsity. So Shukraniti. These are not Bhagavata teachings. These are Shukraniti. I'm saying these are not the actual teachings. So Strishu Narma Vivahe. He says you don't be so rigid. You don't have to be rigid. Be flexible, practical. Right, people? Be practical, be flexible. Like that. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says he heard everything, Bali Maharaj, and then Tushnim Gatva. He just remained silent. And in that time, Bali made his decision, like that. So Bali had received actually great mercy by Prahlad. Prahlad would regularly speak glories of, Vaman Puran says that, glories of Lord Vishnu, like that. And then at one time, when Bali Maharaj, he was talking about his great army and all that, he was very proud, and he was speaking about his great army generals and all that. And Prahlad Maharaj, he spoke to him that soon Vaman is going to appear and take away everything. So in that pride, Bali said that, what Lord Vishnu can do? I have such great military commanders and all that. So when Prahlad heard this, he became so angry. He said, do you understand what is position of Vishnu? He is my beloved Lord, he is the Supreme Lord, and you are saying such words. I curse you that you will lose everything. Like that. So Prahlad actually cursed. Before Shukracharya, Prahlad had cursed. Shukracharya curses now. But Prahlad had cursed like that. And then when he cursed, Bali Maharaj became very repentant and fell at his feet and said that, please forgive me, I beg forgiveness and all that. So then Prahlad became pacified and he said, don't worry, I can't take the curse back, but Lord will show mercy to him. Like that. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says, Bali is case of Kripa Siddha. He is Kripa Siddha. Actually, just as Yadnik Brahman Patnis are. Like that Bali also. He received the mercy of Prahlad. And that which was, put in him, that seed of bhakti which was put in him by Vamana's appearance there, and by, whole this episode, right from his bhakti, it sprouted into prema. In that assembly, actually, the Bali is moving all the way up to prema. He is crossing all the stages, like that. So he says that from bhakti, the ankura became to prema, he achieved. He made that choice. He remained silent for some time, and then he said, actually, my spiritual master is not acting like a spiritual master. So why should I follow him? See, the teaching is more important than the teacher. And I'm saying this with a specific understanding that if the teacher is not teaching the Sanatan Dharma, the eternal teaching, then such a teacher is not bona fide teacher, isn't it? So what is the teaching also should be seen. Krishna may speak karma mimamsa, or here Vamana may speak glorifying this personality, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu and all that. But you have to look at the teaching. What is the teaching? So Vishwanath Chakravarti says that Guru Sadhu Shastra, he saw that my spiritual master here is not acting as per sadhus, not acting as per Shastra. So why should I follow him? I follow my real Guru, which is Prahlad, he said. Prahlad is my real Guru. He offered everything for Lord's service. I will also offer this everything in Lord's service, like that. So when he heard this, when he was determined like this, Shukracharya became so angry, then Shukracharya also cursed him, saying, you will lose everything. Even after that, Shukracharya was so worried about his maintenance, Nrsimha Puran says that he took a small form and entered into that Jalapatra, that spouted pot from which the water comes. So Nrsimha Puran says that he took a small form and sat there, so that water only doesn't come out. So no sankalpa, no charity, like that. And then Vamana is very expert, right? Vamana took a kusha grass and through the hole of that spouted pot, he pierced it. So that caused the eyes of Shukracharya to break and bleed. Karke bahar aa gaya bhag ke, and he disappeared from there. Later, Nrsimha Puran says he did a lot of tapasya and pleased Lord Vamana again for that offense, like that. But he was to that extent. He went inside and was trying to stop the water flow only. So then water came nicely. He did the sankalpa and he offered everything. So anyway, the point is that in this way, the pastime goes on. It's quite a lengthy pastime. So I'm going to stop here. I wanted to especially take this aspect, that how here on this, in between this tussle of Shukracharya and Bali and Vamana, Bali chose Shukracharya. So this is what we also want to do in the life. Later he ends with such a beautiful prayer. Aho pranamaya kritam samudyama prapanna bhaktartha vidho samahita. He says that when Shukracharya revealed to me that, this is Bali saying towards the end, when Shukracharya revealed to me that this is none other than Lord Vishnu himself. When I gave that verbal promise to you, and when Shukracharya told me, he's going to take away everything, what are you doing? So as soon as I got to know that you are none other than Vishnu, immediately I wanted to fall at your feet and offer my obeisances. But I couldn't do it because it will displease my Guru and it will displease all the people and all that, So he said that I was very much eager to offer those obeisances to you, put my head unto your lotus feet. But actually, although I couldn't do it, just that eagerness was there. You are so great that I couldn't put my head on your feet, but you kept your feet on my head. Forcibly, like that. So that eagerness of devotional service is sometimes we may not be able to render a service. In our life, we are stuck up with some things, household responsibility, this, that. Keep that eagerness. One day I will surely, take out that time. Of course, meanwhile, do whatever you can. Not like we wait for the dream situation. No, but point is eagerness to wholeheartedly render service unto the Lord. Keep that eagerness. He says that you forcibly put your head on my feet. So Krishna is, you take one step towards Krishna, Krishna takes 100 steps towards it. So we live with that faith in our spiritual life, like that. So this is how Krishna shows us that how we actually, our life is meant for that particular service. To break the pride of Bali, that arrogance, and also to show the nature of satisfaction, and also to show what is true surrender. For these all purposes, Lord performed this pastime of this particular blessing Bali. So later you know all the pastime, that how Lord blesses Bali for that. So, but I would just like to end here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Vaman Deva Bhagavan ki, Vaman Dwadashi Maha Mahotsava ki, Srila Jiva Goswami ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.